Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the vlog. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining how ships avoid colliding with each other when navigating in heavy fog. So let's get into it. So the title of this video is pretty clear. You've clicked on it because you're interested in knowing how ships avoid colliding with each other when not in sight of one another, navigating in heavy fog. So before we get into the rules and regulations set out by the COL regs, which are the collision regulations issued by the International Maritime Organization, I want to talk to you about the process that vessels must go through before entering an area of restricted visibility. So every vessel is a bit different, but there's a general rule of thumb. Before entering an area of restricted visibility, like fog, we need to ensure that the navigation lights are on, that the ship is sounding its sound signals. So for a power-driven vessel, it will be one prolonged blast at intervals not exceeding 2 minutes. The big mistake that people make, they think the rule says every 2 minutes. No, as intervals not exceeding 2 minutes. A prolonged blast is anywhere between 4 and 6 seconds. The next thing you want to do is to ensure you've informed the engine room and to have your main engines ready for immediate maneuver. You need to inform all the crew on board, close all the watertight doors. You want to put out extra lookouts on the bridge. So you want lookouts monitoring the radars and your extra lookouts on the bridge. Have your bridge doors open so you can hear sound signals possibly from other ships. The critical thing before entering an area of restricted visibility is to ensure you're proceeding at a safe speed. Once you've done these things, I may miss a thing or two. You need to comply, as I mentioned earlier, with the COL regs. Now, Rule 19 is restricted visibility for vessels not in sight of one another. As I mentioned, every vessel must proceed at a safe speed and have their engines ready for immediate maneuver. A vessel which detects another vessel by radar alone shall determine if a close quarters situation exists or a risk of collision. If there's a risk of collision or a close quarter situation, action must be taken in ample time. And if an action is an alteration of course, the following must be avoided. An alteration of course to port forward of the beam unless they are deemed to be overtaking, or an alteration of course towards a vessel, a beam, or abaft the beam. Right, so what does that all mean? So I'm going to do a little diagram to explain what it means in the rule. So let's say here, this is our vessel, okay? So we've got starboard side, port side, the bow, and the stern, okay? So when it says for a vessel forward of the beam, what it means is this line here, this line here. Okay. This area here and this area here represents a beam of the vessel. This is aft of the beam and this is forward of the beam. So what it says in the rule, for a vessel forward, so from here, forward of the beam, so let's say you have maybe a target over here or dead ahead. If you have a vessel forward of the beam, you must avoid an alteration of course to port, okay? Unless you are deemed to be overtaking. So if you, let's say, for example, there's a vessel in front of you on the radar target and you have calculated that you are overtaking this vessel, you can also to port or to starboard, depending on the circumstances. Now, for a vessel, a beam, which is from here, this side, or that side, or abaft the beam, you must avoid an alteration of course towards a vessel. So what does that mean? So if you've got a target, say, here on the radar, or here, or here, or here, you must avoid an alteration of course to starboard, which means only alter your course to port. Okay, and it's the same the other way around. So if you've got a vessel here, 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 here on your radar screens, you're going to avoid an alteration of course to port. You can go to starboard. Now, what do you think the rule says if you have a vessel on your radar directly behind you? Okay, so it says in the rule, avoid an alteration of course towards a vessel, a beam, or abaft the beam. But if a vessel is directly behind you, you're not altering your course towards them. So you can alter course to starboard, or you can alter course to port. What you're going to be very careful in this situation is slowing down. If you can avoid slowing down for a vessel astern of you, because they might be coming behind you at a higher speed, might not realize in time that you slow down, and it may cause a collision. So that's essentially what it says for the rules for vessels not in sight of one another or in heavy fog. So moving on, except in a situation where a risk of collision has been determined not to exist, every vessel which hears apparently forward of their beam the fog signal of another vessel, or which cannot avoid a close quarter situation for a vessel forward of her beam, shall reduce her speed to a minimum, but is still able to maintain her course. So in other words, if you have apparently a vessel forward of your beam from a sound signal, and you cannot avoid a close quarters situation, you must take way off, ensuring that you can still maintain your course. In worst case, you shall take all off, because the reality is, if you are going to collide with another vessel, you ideally want to do it at a very slow speed. The other thing, ideally, if you are going to collide with another vessel, is do what we call in the industry a glancing blow. So you want to avoid T-boning a vessel, having a vessel T-bone you. A glancing blow is more at approaching an angle and kind of like having a glance and then almost kind of like bouncing off. By doing that, you'll be reducing the damage caused, because having a glancing blow won't have the same damage as a vessel being completely T-boned. The critical thing in navigating in areas of restricted visibility, in this case, heavy fog, it is critical to comply with the rules and regulations. It is critical to use all equipment available to you. Echo sounders, so you can confirm your position. So you can look at the chart, your contours, okay, we're at 30 meters depth, echo sounder says 30 meters. We know our position is correct. Your radars, critical. Sound signals, fog signals, extra lookout, reduce speed, close your watertight doors. You want to, be prepared for worst case scenario. Proceed at a safe speed. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how vessels avoid colliding in heavy fog. I do hope you enjoy this video. I look forward to seeing you next time. See you and ciao.